The sun had dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple. Inside the lavish penthouse, the air was tense, heavy with unspoken words. In stood at the large floor-to-ceiling window, arms crossed tightly over her chest, looking out at the city below. The view, which once felt like a promise, now seemed like a prison. Namjoon paced the room, his sharp gaze darting from her to the floor. They had fought before, heated arguments, misunderstandings, but never like this. Tonight was different. Tonight, the weight of their marriage, their dreams, and their failure pressed down on them like a storm. In Namjoon's voice was low, strained, but carried an authority that still made her flinch. Can you look at me? She didn't turn. The silence between them was a living thing, full of accusation and despair. No, Namjoon, she said, her voice cracking. Not right now. Why? His eyes searched her face, seeking the woman he once knew so well, but the storm behind her eyes left him speechless. I need to understand. Why did you do it? She spun around, eyes blazing. Do what, Namjoon? Be the person who's not afraid to call things out when they're wrong? To stand up for myself? Or did you mean leave the marriage that's been suffocating me for months? He took a step toward her, but she flinched, a reflex that cut him deeper than anything she could have said. Listen, I know I've been distant. I know I haven't been the husband you needed, but I never thought you'd... Leave? She interrupted, her eyes wet with anger and betrayal. You never thought I'd leave? You thought I'd stay while you shut me out, while your work became more important than the person standing right in front of you? He recoiled, the accusation hitting him harder than any punch. It was true. He had let his responsibilities define him, his ambition turning into an insatiable hunger that made him forget what truly mattered. I thought I was doing this for us, for you, for the future we planned, he said, his voice breaking. But I see now that I lost myself in the illusion of what we were building. I lost you. A bitter laugh escaped her lips, sharp and full of pain. You didn't lose me, Namjoon. You pushed me away. The room seemed smaller, the walls inching closer with each word, each confession. Jungkook had been the first to notice In's absence. The others soon followed, searching her favorite places, hoping she'd return to them, never considering that she might be better off without them. But as Namjoon stood in the middle of their penthouse, the grandeur of their life suffocating him, he realized they had all failed her. It's not just you, Namjoon, it's all of you. The late nights, the endless meetings, the way you only came home to sleep and left before the sun rose. I needed more than that. I needed you, she whispered, the last word hanging in the air, fragile and heavy. He ran a hand through his hair, fighting to find the right words, the ones that would fix this, that would make everything right again. But the weight of his guilt was suffocating. He knew he had a lot of work to do, not just to convince her to stay, but to make her believe that he could change. The silence stretched between them, and the space that once felt like home now felt cold and foreign. I can't go back and undo the mistakes I made, Namjoon said finally, his voice raw. But I can promise you this, I will do everything I can to be the man you deserve. In looked at him, searching his eyes for the sincerity she desperately wanted to see, the part of her that wanted to forgive. But doubt clouded her mind, memories of nights spent alone, wondering if he would ever notice her, lingered in the back of her mind. I need time, Namjoon, she said, turning her back to him again, the lines of her back rigid, a wall he couldn't climb. Time, he repeated, as if the word tasted foreign on his tongue. He nodded, his head bowed. I can wait. I'll wait as long as it takes. I promise. Yin felt the words pull at something inside her, something that made her ache, made her want to turn around and run to him, to tell him she missed him. But she couldn't. Not when the wound was still so raw. And as the night stretched on, silence filled the room, broken only by the distant sound of rain against the windows. The next day, Namjoon stood at the entrance of her favorite cafe, heart pounding. He had spent hours thinking about how to approach her, how to convince her that this was more than just an apology, that this was a promise. He watched as she sat by the window, looking out at the rain, the world moving past her without a care. The moment she caught sight of him, her eyes widened, a mixture of shock and something else that Namjoon couldn't quite place. "I know it's too soon," he started, taking a step toward her, "but I couldn't let another day pass without telling you. I miss you, In. I need you in my life, and I'll do whatever it takes to prove that." In looked at him, seeing the raw vulnerability in his eyes, the pain he carried. For the first time in months, the ice around her heart began to crack, just a little. "I need time, Namjoon," she said again. But this time, there was a hint of something softer in her voice, a flicker of hope that maybe, just maybe, they could find their way back to each other. Namjoon nodded, the tightness in his chest easing ever so slightly. "I'll wait. I'll wait for you, Win, no matter how long it takes." And as the rain fell harder outside, washing away the past, the future seemed uncertain, but there was a glimmer of hope that perhaps this was the first step toward healing. Namjoon had never felt so out of place. The city hummed around him, oblivious to the storm raging inside him. Every step he took toward the cafe felt like an eternity. He could feel his hands trembling as he gripped the strap of his bag, trying to ground himself in the moment. He had to do this. He couldn't let her slip away again. The cafe was warm, filled with the rich aroma of coffee and fresh pastries. It was the place where he and In used to come, sitting by the window, sharing laughter over lattes and soft conversations. Now, it was the one place where he felt the absence of her the most. And there she was, seated by the window, looking out at the rain, her hands wrapped around a cup. Her hair was pulled back in a loose ponytail, and the soft light from the window cast shadows across her face. She looked serene, but there was a weariness in her eyes, an exhaustion that no amount of time or distance could heal. In had just taken a sip when she noticed him standing there, hesitating at the entrance. Her heart stuttered in her chest, the sound of it almost deafening in her ears. She hadn't expected him to come after what happened the night before. Seeing him now, she realized how much she had missed him, despite the pain he had caused her. Namjoon took a deep breath and walked over. He didn't know if she would let him sit, but he couldn't stand there, frozen, any longer. "In," he said, his voice low but unwavering. She looked up, her expression unreadable. "Namjoon." He took the seat opposite her, pulling it out with a force that spoke to the desperation within him. "I'm sorry. I know I've said that before, but it never felt enough. I need you to know how sorry I am, not just for what happened last night, but for everything, for every moment I made you feel alone." Her eyes shifted to her cup, refusing to meet his gaze. The silence between them was loud, a reminder of all that was unsaid. "You don't understand, Namjoon," she whispered, her voice breaking. "It's not just about last night. It's everything that led to it, the way you changed, the way you forgot me. I felt like I was just waiting for you to come back to me, but you never did." "I didn't realize it until you left," he admitted, eyes brimming with regret. "I thought I was doing everything right, working hard to build the life we talked about, but I didn't see that I was building it without you. And now I don't know how to fix it." In took a shaky breath, her chest tightening with every word. "You can't fix it, Namjoon. You can't just come back and say you're sorry and expect everything to be okay. I don't even know who you are anymore. The man I loved was kind, attentive. You were my home. But now you're just a stranger." The weight of her words struck him like a physical blow. He reached across the table, fingers trembling, but she pulled away, the motion sharp and final. "I know I've lost that part of me," he said, the guilt twisting in his stomach. "But I want to find it again. I want to be the man who deserves you. I know it's going to take time, and I know I can't expect you to forgive me right away, but I'm here. I'm not leaving until you know I'm serious. I need you to know that." In's eyes searched his, searching for any sign of the man she once knew, the man she had loved with everything she had. There was so much doubt, so much fear inside her. but there was also a flicker of hope, one that scared her more than anything. "Why now?" she asked, her voice low, trembling with the emotion she had been hiding. "Why come now, after everything?" "Because I can't live like this anymore," Namjoon said, voice breaking. "Because I can't be without you. I didn't realize what I had until I lost it. And I'm willing to do whatever it takes, no matter how long it takes to make you believe that." In looked at him, and for the first time since she had left, she felt a small, fragile warmth in her chest. The rain continued to fall outside, drumming a steady beat against the glass, as if the world itself were holding its breath. "Namjoon," she whispered, eyes glistening with unshed tears. "I don't know if I can believe you." He reached for her hand again, and this time she didn't pull away. The touch was hesitant, almost tentative, but it was there. "I know you don't," he said, "and I understand. But I promise you, I'll spend every day proving to you that I'm worth believing in again. I don't care if it takes a lifetime." Ian's eyes softened, tears rolling down her cheeks. It wasn't enough to erase the hurt, but it was a start, and for the first time in a long while, that glimmer of hope became a little stronger. "You're asking for a lot," she said, voice barely above a whisper. "I know," Namjoon said, a small smile breaking through the tension. "But I'm willing to wait, Yin, no matter how long it takes." They sat there in silence, the sound of the rain now like a gentle lullaby. Outside, the city continued to move, oblivious to the small, fragile beginning of something new. The road to redemption was far from easy, and the pain would not disappear overnight. But for the first time in months, they both felt that maybe, just maybe, they could find their way back to each other. And as the rain continued to fall, washing away the past, they knew that healing was possible, even if it meant starting from the very beginning.